Work like a professional session. Just want to let you know the speaking portion only of this session, the presentation by Juan Giraldo will be the only part that will be recorded. The networking portion will not be, so no concerns on that aspect. See, a lot of people have already joined us, and we will get started in just one moment.
Are you on?
Give attendees a couple of minutes for them to arrive, and then we will start.
All right, everybody. So just wanted to give you, while we're waiting for everybody to arrive, a couple of quick details about the event and how it's going to go. Juan is going to be very generous with his time and knowledge at the first half of the session. He's going to talk a little bit about his expert tips and tricks on how to be an effective marketer. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have some breakout rooms so that you can practice what you just learned. So hang tight. Again, Juan will teach you some of his strategies, and then we're going to be going into some breakout rooms to learn. And that portion, of course, will not be recorded. But without any further ado, it looks like we are at 5:34. Most folks have arrived. We know some other people might be arriving later on, but wanted to take a moment to hand over to Rebecca Menapace, Associate Provost for Innovation here at Brandeis University, to introduce Juan, introduce this session, and introduce the summer speaker series, of which this is the first session. Welcome, Rebecca.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, I was having technical difficulties on my end, and my computer wanted to, I don't know, do an update right now. So I decided it's not doing an update right now, and I'm going against what it said to do. So here I am. So I apologize for being a little late. I am really excited about kicking off our first in our series of speakers around networking. I feel like networking is that one word that when you say it to somebody, oh, you should do more networking, and you get that feeling in the pit of your stomach, like, I don't know what networking is. Networking is having conversations with people that want to talk to you. That's all it is. It's so simple. I don't know why Juan's going to take an entire hour to talk about it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just really excited to have Juan. He joined our team this year, and he's bringing a lot of life into our programs, our Spark program in particular. And as you know, Brandeis really supports innovation and entrepreneurship across campus. And I'm very, very excited to introduce Juan. And I hope you all ask good questions, and please get as much out of this as you can. It's supposed to be interactive.
Thank you very much for the introduction, Rebecca. It's truly a pleasure to see a lot of faces in the event. We're very excited to kick off the summer speaker series, and thank you one more time to be here. Just one quick little thing before we start. Actually, we're gonna go into breakout rooms at the beginning, just to get everyone warmed up, and then we're gonna go with the presentation. But I'll let you know, Christina, when we're gonna go into breakout sessions. And Hannah, please help us whenever I give you the heads up. You can go ahead and help us with the breakout room. So without further ado, I'm gonna share my screen. I just need you, Hannah, to enable me to share the screen. Oh, there you go. I got it. can you all see my screen? One second. There you go. All right, great. So again, thank you very much for coming. My name is Juan Giraldo, and I'm CEO and co-founder of Waku, a beverage brand where we make prebiotic teas that support a healthy gut. And I'm also the Spark program lead at Brandeis University, just joined in the month of February. So very excited to see so many new faces here in the call. Today, we're gonna go through an introduction to networking. We're gonna take just a couple of minutes to introduce the concept, and then we're gonna jump right into content on how to network via email, how to network in person, and then I'm gonna share some hacks that I've learned in my career as an entrepreneur on simple strategies on how to accelerate your career by networking effectively with your people, with your community. And finally, we're gonna share some instructions on how to best approach the networking event that we have coming next week. So the goal of today is for you all to learn the best practices to network, whether in person or via email, and those quick hacks that will help you accelerate your career. So this is a networking event, so I want everyone to get warmed up and immediately jump into breakout rooms. For 4 minutes, I'm gonna be taking the time, and please introduce yourself with your group and then share your experiences networking with your group. What has worked, what didn't work in the past, and be ready to one person of every team, be ready to tell us in the bigger group what was some commonalities that you found with the rest of the group, and what caught your attention while you were debating. So Hannah, let's please go ahead with the breakout rooms. Great, so everyone is back now, and thank you very much, you all, to jump into a quick exercise. This is what networking is all about, right? Getting into a room with people you don't know and try to establish a connection with them. I do want to get your takes on how did it go, and particularly, what were the common things that came out from your group conversation, and what was that one thing that grabbed your attention? Who wants to jump in and share your experience?
I can share.
Lina.
Hello. My name is Lina. I'm an MBA student. We talked a lot about different things, but one of the main things that someone mentioned, and I agree, is knowing things that the other person, like about the other person beforehand, and trying to connect on like similar things that we both are interested in.
Absolutely, yeah, you touched upon one of the key things that we're going to talk in the future, and it's be prepared, right? Try to learn in advance who is going to be in the room, and obviously target the people that you want to meet. But also, whenever you talk to someone, it helps to build that rapport and connection if you know something about them. So great insights. Who else want to share their experience?
I was in the same group as Lina. Hi, I'm Jess. And one thing that I shared with our group is when, at least if you're networking via email, you want to start off with a very warm statement like, oh, I hope this email finds you well, or I hope you and your family are doing safe, especially with COVID. And just setting off with a warm tone gives off a great start into either requesting for something or going into what the meat of your topic is, but just starting off very slowly with that. I find that always helps.
That's great. Yeah, I have a lot of best practices to network via email that I'm going to share today, and I don't have that one, but it's a great addition to always, start that email with a warm phrase that will open up that connection with the other person. Just one last comment. Who else want to share their experience?
I I can hop in. Oh, sorry, Philip, you can go if you'd like.
Yeah, just really briefly, we just talked about, well, there were two things actually that came up. One is, what do you do if you're an introvert? And actually one of the things that came up is that try to ask open-ended questions as opposed to yes and no, because that can lead to all sorts of other interesting topics.
Yeah, that's a great point. And actually, I'm going to share in the next few slides 1 or 2 questions, especially one that has been very helpful to me to start that conversation and then find, topics on the conversation that you can then expand on and build connection with the other person. Thank you, Philip, for the contribution. Camille, you wanted to say something?
Oh, yeah. Well, our group had kind of a similar consensus on that. We're just excited to get more information about networking and talking about how it's better to have meaningful connections rather than a high volume of connections. And then getting practice at a more professional initial first impression.
Great. Well, thank you very much, you all, for contributing to the exercise. And now, starting with the presentation, very briefly, I'm going to introduce the concept of networking because, as Rebecca said, it's actually very simple. And the way I've came up to describe it is basically meeting and forming contacts, or if you will, developing relationships with other people to develop your business or professional career. Simple concept, right? Simple doesn't mean it's easy to do, but at least it's very simple to understand. And why every entrepreneur needs to be a world-class networker? Well, 3 things were very important. In business, more than what you do is who you know that matters. And you will see as you start developing your careers, it's just very important to not only have a very strong network in order to build a successful career or a successful business, but also know how to tap into this network when you need them. And so today I'm going to share with you some hacks to always keep that network close to you and always be relevant to them as you develop your career. When we start talking about networking via email, there are a few best practices that I want to share with you today. I arrived to the United States with the big dream of starting a company that could allow me to support my country and to have a socioeconomic impact in Ecuador. And one of the biggest challenges that we faced when we were starting this company in 2017, I was still a student, in my case at Babson College, was that we didn't have a network in the US at all. Pretty much all my network was based in Ecuador and in Belgium that I have lived before. And so I did a lot of research back in the day on how to best network. And I found it extremely important to know how to network via email. I think it's the most time efficient way to network. And it will also get you to many, many people that sometimes you thought it was impossible to reach. And so let's start with these best practices. First and foremost, if someone does not respond to you, just follow up. And I can't emphasize enough how much is this important. It's 10x more times feasible that someone will answer back if you just follow up kindly after 7 to 10 days after you send that initial response. Don't take it personally. Don't assume that these people don't want to talk to you. Just remember, everyone is busy and everyone has their own things going on. So just make sure to follow up. The second one is BCC people when they have introduced you to someone. And I'll show you an example on how to do this. No one is entertained by your email thread of 17 emails trying to schedule a meeting after they've made an introduction to you. So this is one important rule that I learned early on. It's always BCC people. They don't want to be copying on your thread. Third one is give people something to use to introduce you that's written in third person. So let's say that I'm asking Hannah to introduce me to her friend. I'm trying to reduce all the friction to get my favor done. And in order to reduce the friction, I'm going to give her a small blurb that she can use to just copy and paste in her email to send to her friend. And that will increase the likelihood that she actually follows through on the introduction. I'm going to give you an example, and then we're going to do an exercise on you guys writing your blog about yourself. Very important when you're introducing someone else, it's to double blind intro. So ask someone if you can introduce them to someone else before just doing it. And this is for many, many reasons. I mean, you know, sometimes one person is really indisposed to take an introduction for, you know, whatever personal reason they are going through, but they might actually want to meet that person, right? So if you just check in advance if it's okay to send that introduction, that will avoid awkwardness, and it will be better for the person that will receive the introduction. The fifth point is keep it short and please proofread it. I can guarantee that the shorter the email, the more likely it will get read. And please proofread it. This is just, you know, mistakes it proves that sloppiness and that sense that you did not put enough time or attention into what you were doing, especially if you're fundraising, if you're trying to look for partnerships, if you're looking for a job, make sure to put the time to proofread that email. Number 6 is make sure you have your contact information in the signature of your email. This is, you know, it brings professionalism to what you're doing. And at the same time, you don't know what could happen if that email gets forwarded to many other people. Maybe it will get to the right person and things can happen. You know, one contact in your life can change your entire trajectory of your life. 7 is offer them time to meet ahead of time that work for you and your team. And this is particularly important if, you know, you're working on a student project, you have a team of 3, 4, 5 people, and you're trying to meet with someone else, you're requesting a little bit of time on their agenda. Just make sure to give them times that fit your entire team, because then the back and forth is gonna be, you know, 1 week until you guys can all find the time to meet. That's first. And second, it's not really that important to have all the team in the call if, you know, calendars are very hard to synchronize. It's okay if there's a team of 5 and one person cannot make one time. That's fine to just go ahead and schedule the time and talk to the person that you want to talk. The 8th one was very tough to me to understand early on. And especially, as you may have noticed, I do have a strong accent. And so for me, sometimes I wonder if people is understanding what I'm saying. And for that reason, I always wanted to meet in person, you know? But the problem is that if you want to meet in person, if you're in Boston, if you're in LA, if you're in New York, if you're in San Francisco, it might take 1 hour to commute to that place, 1 hour meeting, and then 1 hour to commute back. And so it's a lot harder to get people to agree to meet in person because it just takes a lot more time out of their calendars. So if this is, you know, one introductory call, you're just trying to meet one person, just meet them over the phone. Now we have Zoom and Google Meet that it's a lot more accepted. Do that. And obviously, if, you know, the relationship progress and you are looking to partner up with someone and you're looking to take a job from someone, then do insist in an in-person meeting, because then it's important. 9, always offer whatever you can to support someone else. This is just the law of reciprocity. So while you are on the conversation, if there's an opportunity that you can add value to this person, just offer to help, and it will pay back. And 10, thank people. And I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to take 2 minutes to send a quick thank you note to the person who introduced you via email and say how useful that introduction was for you. That email will make this other person smile for sure. And I would even take it farther. And if this introduction was extremely helpful to your career and to your business, take the time to send a handwritten note to that person who made that introduction. This handwritten note that took you in total 10, 15 minutes to write and send will win you a fan for life that will be rooting for your success every step of your career. So those were just brief best practices. When I did a lot of research back in the day, this was the article where I took all of these lessons learned, because it summarized all the points that that I found helpful. So we're gonna share the slides, I think, and then you can click on the link and see the other recommendations that this entrepreneur has on how to network via email. So again, as I told you, we're gonna be sharing some examples, and then I want you all to do some exercises and leave this workshop with some blurbs and one-liners that you will be able to use in order to network via email and in person. So this is an example on how to BCC someone who just introduced you to a new person, right? I'm gonna read it out loud. So Steve introduced me to Melissa in this case. And so the first thing I do is I thank you and address how much I appreciate the introduction. And then I move Steve to BCC to just save his inbox from the 17 emails that are gonna follow this thread in terms of, scheduling a meeting and so on. And then what I do is to address the new contact. It's a pleasure to meet you. Would love to hop on a call to tell you a bit more about Waku and explore whether or not we could be a good fit for your fund. Should we aim to meet after the holidays? How is January 4th looking for you in the afternoon? Please let me know. And so you see that what I did here is I BCC the person who gave us an introduction, and then I invited Melissa to hop on a quick call, and I offered her some flexible time, afternoon of a day in the next 2-3 weeks for us to meet. So I thought this would be helpful to share. And here's an example of a blurb that I used to use in the past, and I still use today when I'm looking for introduction. And this blurb is really helpful to save time to that kind person that has offered to introduce you to one of their friends or their family. So again, this is the blurb. I'm going to read it out loud. My friend Juan recently started a direct-to-consumer beverage company called Waku. They make prebiotic teas that support a healthy gut. They are fundraising to keep up with continued growth and transition to an omni-channel distribution strategy. Would it be okay if I connect Juan with you? So here we're tapping into 2 of the 10 best practices that I shared with you in the previous slide. One is you always opt in before sending an introduction. You don't do blind introductions. You don't want to put people on the spot and in awkward positions. And 2, you always send a blurb that people can just copy paste in third person to save them some time. They are being kind enough to open their network for you. The least you could do is to send them the content that they could use in the email in order to send that introduction. And so now let's please take 5 minutes, and I want you all to take out a piece of paper or open up a Google Doc and just write a small blurb about yourself or your company that you could use from now on to ask for introductions to people. Make sure to write it in third person, and then I'm gonna call 2, 3, or 4 of you guys to share it with the group. So I'm gonna be taking the time. Please take 5 minutes and do the exercise. Wait, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna present again, and I'm gonna put the example of the blurb in front of you so you can use it as an inspiration. Here you go. 40 seconds left. Just a heads up. All right, great. So we're gonna get back to the presentation, but before we start, I would like to get two or three of you to read us out loud the blurb that you just wrote about yourself or your company. Who wants to start? And I would say that if you don't want to volunteer, I would have to pick two or three from the audience.
I can go.
Great, let's go.
Okay. I said, a colleague of mine named Alexa is a current student studying physics. She has multiple research experiences under her belt and is eager to grow in her field. Would it be okay if I connect Alexa with you?
Love it. Great. Thank you so much for sharing. Someone else?
I would like to go.
Sure. Go ahead.
Hello. My colleague Sungwon is interested in meeting up with you. He is an uprising junior studying biology, but he loves working in the chemistry lab at Brandeis. He is interested in collaborating with you on a research project involving the control of DNA hybridization through the use of visible light activated photo switches. Would it be okay if I connect Sungwon with you?
Great. That's a couple of things there that come to mind. One, I really liked how you described very clearly the reason why that introduction should be made. You were stating the reason why you wanted to be connected to that person. Just one piece of constructive feedback would be try to make it as short as possible. Just imagine that the person who is going to receive this email is very busy. They have kids, work, hobbies, etc. So try to make it as short as possible for them to actually take the time to read your email. But that was great. Thank you for sharing. One last one.
I can do it.
Sure.
Yeah.
My colleague or friend, Manny, is a current PhD student majoring sociology and public policy at Brandeis University. She is interested in studying culture and health and has done research in eating disorder in first responders. She's networking to find scholars to collaborate and communicate with. Would it be okay if I connected Manning with you?
Great. I love it. Fantastic work. Thank you very much for sharing, you all. And we're going to continue then. Also, feel free to add your questions in the chat. I just saw that Sarah left a question. We're going to address the questions at the end of the presentation. So you could either add them on the chat or wait until the Q&A, just raise your hand and post the question there. So here are some best practices for networking in person. And the rule number one really is to be prepared. So this means try to know who is in the room in advance. You know, if you're given bios, if you're gonna attend the conference and you can read who's gonna be speaking and what have they done, take the time to do it, because one, you can come to the conference or to the networking event and be very targeted with whom you wanna meet, that you think can be impactful in what you're doing. And two, you wanna have points of conversation. You want to have conversation starters with these people that you want to connect. And some of these conversation starters can be part of their career and of their work. Know your one-liner, you know, so you usually sit down in a table, you meet someone in a cocktail table, and, you know, people ask you who you are. And so you should have that one-liner ready to go. And I'll give you an example, and we will work on that one-liner. And always, whenever we go back to in-person events that will happen very soon, bring your business cards and make sure to leave your business cards with the people you've met. And again, these best practices are best practices that have worked for me. And I just wanted to share what has worked for me. So one of the best practices that I used to love when I was in business school, you know, 4 or 5 years ago, is gamifying my networking events. So my best friends of business school, he was a Colombian guy, actually named Juan as well. I think 50% of Latin Americans are called Juan, so no surprise. But him and I, we used to go to networking events, and we would do it a competition. So who could get more business cards was the first one. Then we understood that is not about how many business cards you get, but with how many people you actually connect. And so then we would say, who is the one who can connect with 3 people this afternoon? And then when we actually brought it down and say, who is the one who can connect with 1 person, but who can actually establish a long-term relationship with that 1 person? And so then it was not work to go and talk to people, you know what I mean? It was more of a game. Let's try to connect with people. Let's try to get some business cards, and then you switch that mindset of like, oh, I have to go to this networking event, to, wow, I get to be in this networking event. I am going to meet a lot of wonderful people, and my goal is to connect with 1 or 2 people deeply, and then have a long-term relationship with them. The third best practices that I want to share is smile, and smile a lot. Normally, we all have beautiful smiles, and what it makes to us and to our brain is that it helps us feel more confident, and it helps us look more friendly to people. So, you know, you don't have to be walking around with a big smile with no reason, but, you know, try to portray a smile and show how genuinely excited you are to meet this new person. Be sure to ask questions. A lot of people, you know, tend to jump in to what you're doing or pitching your company. And sometimes that's not the place to do things like that. Make sure to ask questions, be genuinely curious, and learn from the other person, because the more you learn about them, the more you will be able to find areas where you can relate to them and connect. And then fruitful things can happen out of that relationship. So, you know, some quick starters in a regular networking event is, you know, what do you do for work? One that I really like the most, that I learned actually in a networking event, I think a networking event in BU when I was pitching one of my companies, was a person approached me and asked me what was my passion. And that really sparked, a very different conversation. And, she could immediately see that my eyes fired up. And when I was describing my passion, I touched upon many areas of my life that I enjoy. And that created some connection that then ended up working well for both of us. So that's another question that you could use to open up conversation with someone. Again, the same as in email, look for opportunities to help and add value. This is just the right thing to do. And it's the reciprocity law. The more you help, the more you will get. So focus in helping, and then you will get more. And then, one that is very, very important is ask for a connection. There is a simple way to do that whenever you're meeting someone new that I'm going to share with you in the next slide. But it's, who else in your network do you think I should know? Who else in your network do you think could add value to this business idea that I have? And so, that way you guarantee that each time you meet one person, this other person will connect you to one or two other people. And then, your network starts growing exponentially. And then finally is follow up and engage with these connections. And I think this is the most important one out of all the ones that I've described. Make sure that if you have connected with someone in an event, get their business card, send them a thank you email. Thank them for their time and their insights while you were chatting. If that connection was really profound, or you see that there's some overlap in your career or in your business, ask them if you can add them into your monthly or quarterly newsletter with updates about your company or about you, to keep that relationship alive. Make sure to add these people to LinkedIn. As you continue to progress in your career, you will see how important it is to have that robust database of contacts that you can tap into from time to time. And think through, if you're building something, if it's worth creating a monthly or a quarterly update where you communicate to all of your network what's going on, right? So this is one good practice that we adopted in our company when we started at Waku, and that it has made wonders for us in keeping our community close to us and keeping us on top of their mind. And so, a quarterly update, what are the victories that you have experienced in the past 3 months as a company, or, in your professional career, to give this close network of people a peek of what's going on in your life and be relevant in their mind. And so these are some examples of the one-liners that I just mentioned in the previous slide. So for example, my one-liner when I'm in a networking event is, "Hello, I'm Juan. I run a direct-to-consumer beverage brand where we make prebiotic teas that support a healthy gut. So I am in the consumer goods industry or in the food and beverage industry." Quick, out of my mouth, very simple for them to understand where I work, what industry I work in, and that then the conversation progress after that. And this is an example of the closing question that I just mentioned in the previous email as well. Always close a conversation with someone with, "Is there someone in your network that you think I should meet?" People are happy to help. And this is an opportunity for you to open a whole new network of people. So, if you're having coffee with someone, you're having a Zoom call with someone, finish that conversation asking for another introduction. And so exercise number 2, we're a little short on time, so let's take just 2 minutes. I'm gonna take the time to write your one-liner. Take 1 or 2 minutes to write your one-liner and be ready to share your one-liner with the group. Time starts now. And I'm gonna go back to the example so you can use it as an inspiration. I'm gonna give you all just 1 minute because I just realized we're running a little short in time. So we only have 30 seconds left. All right, great. Who wants to jump and give us your one-liner? Please go ahead and jump in, or I will have to pick someone randomly from the audience.
I can go again.
Sure.
Okay. Hello, my name is Alexa Livingstone, and I am a third-year physics major, mathematics minor from Baltimore County, Maryland, studying at Hampton University.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. Someone else?
I'll go. Hello, my name is Nayan Harmon. I'm a rising sophomore chemical engineering major from the Woodlands, Texas. I also study at Hampton University.
Great. Thank you. All right, we're gonna leave it there. Thank you so much, guys, for taking the time to write this. And this is something that should roll out of your tongue like this. Every time you have an opportunity to introduce yourself or your company, take it. All right, and we're gonna go to my favorite part of this workshop. And these are simple strategies that will help you accelerate your career. And any of you guys know about an entrepreneur who is called Jesse Itzler? He's an owner of the Atlanta Hawks and a very successful entrepreneur and writer, American. And he's not an Ivy League graduate, and he doesn't come from a wealthy family, and he was able to build an extraordinary company and has had tremendous success in business just by being an extremely well-connected guy and great networker. So from a video from him, I learned a few things that I've tried to implement and that I implement. And then the fourth one is one that I just created myself. So I'm gonna share these quick tips with you. The first one is, our goal is always to stay in people's radar, right? It's not easy to knock on the door of someone who you haven't talked for 2 years to ask for a favor, right? And as an entrepreneur, you're always asking for favors, always, because you are the underdog. So you want to keep your network close and fresh on what you are doing. So one of these strategies is what Jesse Itzler calls the 3 C's. The first C is to compliment. Second one is to congratulate. And the third one is to console. And so let me explain what I mean by compliment. I'll give you an example. So last year was a year of crisis, right? And that was the first crisis that I led as the CEO of my company. And while I was going through this crisis, I called my former mentor who led his company under crisis when I was working for him. And I just called him out of the blue and I told him, Luis Adriano, I'm a CEO now and I'm running the company in a crisis year. I just want to thank you for the inspiration that you left on me on how you run the company while your company was struggling and going through crisis. You have no idea how much of this has helped me run Waku at this crazy year. He didn't have a post in Forbes. He didn't have a post in the Wall Street Journal. I just call him out of nowhere and just thank him and compliment him because of his skills of running his company. And that definitely helped. Well, it put a smile in his face. And second, it helped him to have me on his radar, right? Congratulate, let me give you a quick example. One of my undergrad friends just got into an MBA program in HEC, a very good business school in France. And so, quick call. Hey, David, I just want to congratulate you for getting into that competitive MBA program. I know it will make wonders for you, and they actually are lucky to have you as well. And so, that will definitely keep that relationship alive. And then the third C is console. And unfortunately, things happen in our life and, people get bad news, they are going through rough times. And that's a moment to show compassion and, send a quick text, a phone call, even pay them a visit if needed, and just show them that you are there for them genuinely and that you care. And that will get you, that will get you a long way. And again, the goal, guys and gals, is to stay relevant to your network, right? To be in their mind, to create a group of people that are rooting for you, that want you to win, and that will always be thinking on, you know, this person, I should introduce this person to Hannah because I think it would be a valuable connection, or I should introduce this person to Hannah because I think they could be interested in the services that they are selling. You know, these things happen. The second advice he gives, and that I'm actually doing right now, it's you have a hot list of 50, 20, 30, 100 people that you call every quarter to just check in. So who are these people that you want to keep close in your network? Once each quarter, you take one Saturday, you start calling them, you start checking in with them. Emails works, text works. Again, another way to keep this network close to you. And the third piece of advice that he shares is the 3 minutes miracle. And this one I think is genius. Imagine you take 3 minutes every day to just send one text or one email to someone you appreciate, and to someone you admire. And you just want to thank them for something that they did, or something how they were impactful in your life. If you put 3 minutes every day and you send one note per day, by the end of the year, you would have sent 365 notes. That's 365 people that are close to you and that you now are relevant in their mind. So now think if you can do this for 10 minutes every day, and instead of sending this to 300 people, you can actually send it to 1,000 people in a year. Think how powerful this can be. And of course, this is, you have to have a long-term mentality. You're not going to expect that, one of these connections after one text, they are going to, introduce you to one investor that is going to fund your company. But believe me when I say that, maybe in 3, 5, 7 years, one of these introductions can change the trajectory of your entire life or your entire business. So keep them close. I mean, there's nothing to lose. And the fourth one, and I know we're getting close to time, is what I call the moonshot list. And this one is one that I created myself. I write, I'm gonna tell you a quick story around this one. I write a 5-minute journal every morning. It's called the Gratitude Journal. And it's a little book that you can buy in Amazon. And this book gives you weekly challenges. And 1 week in 2020, the challenge was to reach out and thank one person that has inspired me. And so I decided to send an email to a businessman, a Brazilian businessman that is called Jorge Paulo Lemann. He is the majority shareholder of 3G Capital, who are the owners of AB InBev, the biggest brewery in the world. They are the owners of Burger King. They are the big name. I mean, the businessman is worth $20 billion. I sent him an email. Obviously, I know a lot about himself. He inspires me, and I think what he has done in Brazil is what I want to do in Ecuador. And I sent him an email, and he answered back. And next thing you know, I'm having lunch with him in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And now it's almost 1.5 years. He's a mentor to me right now. We hop on a call once each quarter to tell him how are things going. Obviously, he's also in the consumer packaged goods industry. I'm in the packaged goods industry. So there is a lot of commonalities. But what I've decided after this experience is that once a month, I'm going to reach out to a moonshot person, someone that if I can meet, it will change my entire life. And so I with this story, I just wanted to encourage you all to think about these people that have inspired you. It can be in the academic world, in the research world, in the business world, in the philanthropy world. Find their email. You can definitely find their email online and take the time to send them a quick note. Believe me when I say these interactions can change your life. And you would be very surprised to learn that a lot of these people actually take the time to answer back and to help, because they were in your same shoes back in the day. They were also hustling to get connections, and to get their company off the ground and to get their career to the next stage. And so they want to help. And so I wanted to leave you all with these, quick, simple strategies that will most likely accelerate your career. And here I posted the link to the video from Jesse Itzler if you guys want to check that out. And so just closing up the presentation, I know we're running out of time. Just give me just 5 minutes more, please. And we have a networking event coming up next week. I hope I can see you all there. And what you should expect is that there are going to be tables with 2 mentors per table. This is going to be remote using a tool that is called Remo. And each table will have 6 people. And we're going to share the bios of all the people who are going to attend in advance. So be prepared, as you learned in this session. And remember that you only have 15 minutes per table, and it's a 1-hour session. So you will have only the opportunity to visit 4 different tables. So if there is someone that you want to meet, make sure to try to get to that table as quickly as possible, because they will be filling up. And remember, gamify your networking event. What is your goal, right? Think in advance. What is your goal in this event? Is it, to meet with an inspiring entrepreneur? Is it to just, get to connect with other like-minded people? Is it to try to find a co-founder? Is it to try to find a mentor? Get to the event with a goal, and it will be a lot more productive to you. And so I know we're running out of time, so we're going to give 5 minutes to questions, and then we're going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for listening to our lessons learned. And I posted my email here in case you want to follow up with any questions. I know in the chat that there are some questions. I'm gonna go ahead and try to answer them. Sarah, thank you for your question. How many times should you insist if they don't answer? That's a great question. What I do is usually twice. So I follow up after 7 to 10 days after my first email, and then I follow up again after 10 days more. If I don't hear back after that second follow-up, I tend to think they are not in a position to take the time to meet. So I try to not be annoying and just leave it in 2 times. Yes, my pleasure to give you advice. Another question is, what was the name of the journal again? I actually have it here in my desk. It's called the 5-minute journal. And, you just write 3 things that makes you grateful. It gives you weekly challenges, and you can buy it online, or you can actually just create it yourself. So it has been very impactful in my life, and I've been doing it for the past 6 years now. So it's been great. Can we get the link for this event? Absolutely. You all sign up for this event, so now we have your email. So we're gonna share the link for the networking event of next week via email. Yes, Hannah just shared it.
Hannah shared it, yeah.
Thank you so much. And the last question, just to close it up, my favorite Waku flavor as of today is the berries and basil. It's delicious, only the highest quality ingredients, and it supports smallholder farmers in Ecuador. That's the whole point. One last question that just popped in. We have 2 minutes more and then I'll let you go. What's your advice on dealing with the stress with networking? It's again, what I told you, it's gamify it as much as you can. Be prepared, it definitely helps. And just have fun with it. You don't have to put a lot of pressure on your shoulders. Everyone is there to meet new people. With some people you will connect, with some others you won't. Just try to reduce the weight of it, and try to approach it from a gamified perspective, and you will start having a lot more fun.
Can I just interject? Sorry. So Rebecca always says when we go to conferences, go up to 3 people that you don't know. So start slow, right? So if you don't want to gamify it by getting as many business cards as possible, maybe the first thing you do is just meet 3 people that you've never met before. And then next time, do 4 people.
And it's always easier to break into a conversation or to join a group of odd number of people.
That's right. That's another
It's
good
much
Rebecca.
harder
isn't-
to join a group of 2 or 4 or 6 because they tend to pair off. But if you go to a 3 or 5, you will tend to have at least somebody that's willing to make eye contact and ask, hi, or introduce yourself. So try those tips the next time you're able to have a networking event.
Great advice. And we will be back to those networking events. So, well, 6:35. Thank you so much for bearing with me.
No, wait. Before you,
Oh, yes.
before everybody leaves, I'm gonna paste a survey there, a link for a survey in the chat. It would help us a lot if you could fill out the survey. It'll take you about 2 minutes. Your feedback helps us better. So helps us get better. So we would really appreciate this. Thank you.
No one can leave the call until you fill out this form. Thank you, Sarah. I almost forgot.
Thank you.
Thank you all. All right, so we're getting those answers. So please don't leave this call before filling out the survey. One more time, thank you for attending this first session. We are looking forward to network with you next Wednesday, and we have a series of events coming on. I think we will send you an email with all the events that are coming, but get ready to learn how to build a landing page. Get ready to learn how to fundraise for your startup. Get ready to learn how to brand your startup, and then learn about an entrepreneur who started his company from a classroom and in less than 5 years exited to a big company with a very successful exit. So looking forward to seeing you all there. Thank you again, and have a great afternoon.
Thank you.